For joining us. I'm Kimmy Reps, and Jason Zimmerman is just about to join us. Delegates from Wisconsin and across the country now converging on Chicago for tomorrow's start of the Democratic National Convention. This includes people from our area who will have a front row seat as Vice President Kamala Harris and her running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, make their case to voters to succeed President Joe Biden in the White House. Chief Political Reporter Jason Zimmerman live in Chicago with a preview of what we can expect throughout the week. Jason.
Cami, Democrats have high hopes for this convention. They've been riding a wave since Vice President Kamala Harris replaced Joe Biden at the top of the ticket. And starting tomorrow, they're expecting an even bigger bump. Outside the United Center, which will host the Democratic National Convention, the barricades have gone up as the Secret Service Sunday conducts final security sweeps of the area as Democrats from the Wisconsin delegation arrive, expressing excitement for what's to come.
The mood is so good. I think for so many Democrats, there's this kind of exhalation, this relief that we have a ticket that is uniting the country, that's energizing people, that's filling huge arenas with crowds that no one's seen in a very long time in American politics.
50,000 people are expected for the convention, which is also drawing protesters, including a rally Sunday near the downtown Riverwalk, calling for an immediate ceasefire in the war between Israel and Hamas, some vowing to vote for a third-party candidate otherwise.
The Democrats have a responsibility to try to end the war in Gaza, and they're not doing enough to do that. So we need a ceasefire, and we need an arms embargo, and we need increased humanitarian aid to the people suffering in Gaza.
The vice president also continues to face criticism by Republicans going into the convention for not taking questions from the media since moving to the top of the Democratic ticket.
0 news conferences, 0 sit-down interviews, 0 policies proposed, and 0 votes in a Democrat primary or a Democrat caucus.
When Wisconsin's delegation meets for the first time over breakfast Monday morning, Governor Evers will be among those to address them.
People are jazzed about the upcoming election, obviously, and it's always good, from my vantage point. There's going to be several, our delegation from Wisconsin. I'll have a chance to talk to some people I probably haven't talked to in a long time.
Also addressing the Wisconsin delegation tomorrow will be Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. All of this is expected to get underway around 8. We'll have complete coverage throughout the day. Reporting live in Chicago at the DNC, Jason Zimmerman, Action 2 News.
Jason, thanks. Kamala Harris also expected to hold a rally in Milwaukee on Tuesday at Fiserv Forum. No specific details have been released at this point. And Republican vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance making a stop in Kenosha on Tuesday as well. His campaign says he will talk and hold a press conference on crime and safety. Republican U.S. Senate candidate Eric Hovde will also appear along with the Kenosha County Sheriff.